Man, what a mess. Hey YouTube, welcome to the video where I talk about my rack. In today's video, I want to talk to you about this new wire plier rack that I got from Amazon and compare it to the wire plier rack you can buy from Harbor Freight and show you 3 advantages of owning this one over this one. Let's do it. So here we are back at the workbench and we're talking about this Harbor Freight wire plier rack. Inside this plier rack, I've got my Klein Lyman's pliers. These are the Knipex Cobras, and then these are just some Master Force bent needle nose Menards house branded pliers. Now, what's the major difference that you notice about all 3 of these pliers? Not just what they're used for, what they're designed to use for, but look at the difference in the thicknesses of the pliers. You see the Master Force one barely even fits in there. And so that's when I noticed the first problem, or should I say disadvantage, of owning this wire plier rack. So disadvantage number 1. Every slot on this Harbor Freight plier rack is the same width. Not every plier is made within the widths that are on this plier rack. For instance, I have another Harbor Freight plier rack because of course I needed 2. But if you see here, when we measured the thickness or the width in between the 2, you got 0.75, 0.74, 0.74. Okay, now obviously you just go on down the line and they're all the same widths. Now what do you do when you get something like this? Now this is a DeWalt diagonal cutters. It's got the lock feature on it. I really like it because it has this thicker handle. When we measure the handle, you can see it's 0.82. Well, we know that that's not going to fit inside there. And so that was my first major complaint with this plier rack, is that my DeWalt pliers had to sit outside the plier rack. Now that was disadvantage number 1. Now let's talk about disadvantage number 2. Reason number 2, or disadvantage number 2, that this Harbor Freight wire plier rack has is if you have spring-loaded pliers, such as these, that you want to fit inside your plier rack. Now, when I go to put them in there, well, that's not doing nothing. And so there are ways that you can get around that, where some people put O-rings around the ends, or, you know, most of us, we have our rubber bands to keep the tension on. And the bad thing is you end up with rubber bands, they can only last for so long till they end up looking like that. And so if you do the rubber band trick, yeah, they fit in there and they work. But now every time that I take this out, I got to take my rubber band off, my O-ring off, or even some of the plastic covers, just to keep the tension down on my pliers so I can use them, or they'll fit inside my plier rack. And to me, that's just a big disadvantage if I have to do something extra just to make sure that my pliers do stay in the rack. So now let's talk about disadvantage number 3. Reason number 3, or disadvantage number 3, is going to be the build quality. And that's with most of these wire plier racks, is just the quality is not there. Right out of the box, these were bent. I kind of straightened some of them up. Oh yeah, see this one, it bent over even a little bit more. See if I can straighten that one out. That's all right. So what I found on Amazon was something to help with all three of these complaints or disadvantages. So what I have here is from some Amazon company. You know how generic those companies can get. But off Amazon, they have these wire plier racks. And what you need to do is to really look at the pictures and zoom into the pictures to make sure that they're built like this, because several different companies make them just like this. So what you'll see, the difference between this one and this one is this little piece right here. And then if you notice, these gaps right here, which looks like gaps, like it's missing these wires, but no, they've done that for a specific reason. Because now if you measure, we're on the end here, we're at 1.2 inches. And then if we come down here to some of the smaller gaps, we're at 0.74. Just like we were over there on the Harbor Freight rack. And then from here all the way down, it's going to continue to your 0.74, 0.75. But if you notice this piece that we were talking about, well, you remember were these, when you had to do the rubber band trick or something to hold these into place, with this piece right here, what it does is it holds it for you. So now if you have, say, snap ring pliers, I just recently did a video on all these Icon snap ring pliers that I got. Now if you wanted to, you didn't want to keep the case, but you wanted them to fit inside your plier rack, well, there you go. Now they're not stretched out to where you can't even shut your door, even if you put them in there. And also these DeWalt pliers, what doesn't matter what the measurement was, we know they're going to go right in there. So, to sum it all up, got the two plier racks stacked right here on top of each other. As you can see, the US General one is a little bit shorter than the Amazon one. The US General one is 14 inches, whereas the Amazon one is 15 inches. As far as where they sit in the drawer, the US General one is going to be shorter, so keep that in mind with whatever drawer you have with your pliers. And like we said, this US General one, it can hold 16 pliers. This one can only hold 15. However, these slot sizes, they are going to be different. Now, as far as price, for the US General ones, they are $11 a piece. Of course, you can get them at a discount. But if you were to pay, original price for these, it'd be $11 a piece. So you buy two, that's $22. For the Amazon one, I pay $22 for a set of two. So let's get over to the plier drawer and let's organize that mess. Okay, that's all we got for this video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to stick around on the channel because in the next video, we're going to be doing a toolbox tour over the US General Series 2 toolbox. But until then, bye for now.